Hello, it's Tamika. So let me tell you a little story. So I'm in LA the week leading up to Christmas and after, a few days after. And one day, and this was a Wednesday, I had this really violent flash of something came over me. I got hot. I can't really articulate what it is, but I did make a video and I put it on Facebook explaining a little bit about Utah syndrome or Utah phenomena. And that's something related to MS. And it is when you get hot, you can have a flash of MS symptoms sort of come out of nowhere and come on very sort of violently. And then once you cool down, it goes away. And so in my mind, I'm having some Utah syndrome, Utah phenomena type situation. I woke up with a headache, wasn't feeling well, had a cup of coffee, and after that, boom, it hit me. I found myself in my grandmother's bathroom on the floor. The only thing that was helping me was the coolness of the floor. I think I sort of took my clothes off and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to feel better. Eventually they realized that I had been gone for some time, came and got me. I said I need something cold to drink and my daughter brought me some soy milk. And they got me off the floor, got me in the bed, put the ceiling fan on, put a fan directly in front of me. Some time went on, I felt better. I mean better. I was up, I was out, I was about. Then I went to the store and did a couple things. And then I ate and boom, it hit me again. Well, the only thing that was different about this particular situation, and that happens to me. I know that I'm heat sensitive with my MS and from time to time I'll have these symptoms. The only thing that was different was my stomach was hurting. It was some really bad stomach pain. Well, they also have this thing called an MS hug. And with the MS hug, you'll have the muscles of your stomach, and they'll go all around your torso, and they'll pull very tightly, and it'll create pain. And some people describe it as like feeling like they're having a heart attack, being squeezed very tightly, just pain around the stomach area. So in my mind, I'm thinking MS hug mixed with Utah phenomenon. Okay. Wednesday, let's cut to Thursday. I think I'm not really feeling well. And I started not feeling well more than well. So let me get myself back up the 6.5 hours so that I can get home. So that I can be close to my neurologist, my doctors, my, people who can care for me. And so I set out about 1 o'clock. We get on the 5, headed north. Maybe an hour and 15 minutes I had to stop. I felt that heat, just overwhelming sensation, stomach pulling. I had eaten and it was overwhelming. So I said, let me stop for a minute and get some air. So I turned the AC on, took my hoodie off. Cool my body down and set out again. Well, I did this about 5 times. At some point, I am on the shoulder vomiting. Now, it was not food. It was not PBE. It was some foamy water, maybe liquid that I had been trying to drink. Eventually, it's like, you know what, Tamika, this is not going to work. So I had gotten to Coalinga, which is really, should be the halfway mark just about. So it should have been 3 hours away. It had taken me a little over 5 hours to get to that point because I kept stopping. And, it was just, I can't do this anymore. Let's stop for the night and maybe try to set out again in the morning. Well, I got out of the car. I stopped, got a room at like Travelodge, and it was the middle of nowhere. Got the room, got my girls together, and said, okay, let's stay for, for the night and set out again in the morning. When I got out of the car, my teeth were chattering. I was shaking. I was barely able to communicate. Sick. I was sick. This stomach pain. It was just, I almost wanted to be back on the floor again in the bathroom. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lay down. It was just, the only thing that really felt okay was standing up for the most part, but then I was too weak to stand up. Just violent pain. And so eventually, I think my girls were scared. It was just, I don't even really remember a lot that went on. My son came and he was headed back from Vegas and was like in Stockton. For those of you who know, like Northern California, you know what I'm talking about. And so he was able to backtrack and come and get me. And his friend is, I think, an Army medic, and took my pulse, and I think he said my heart rate was like 60 or something like that. Just sick. We end up at the emergency room. I can't lay back. I'm like, please help me. Well, I self-diagnose. And I juggle so many different things at one time. I have my lap band that I have to constantly be concerned about. Because when I overeat, I get the pressure and, weird sensation, funny sensation in my port. I can make myself sick when I overeat. I feel it in my body. I have to look out for that. I have to think about all these potential MS symptoms that I've either had or haven't had, but I've read about and could happen. And, I'm thinking about all kind of stuff, right? Maybe I have impacted bowels. TMI, I hadn't gone in days, like something about maybe 9, really. In between, at some point I had gone with a laxative, but it wasn't, it was like a lot of gas and stuff. I didn't really go. And so really I hadn't had a bowel movement in 9 days. And so by the time I'm at the hospital, I'm, with impacted bowels, and, we're within this community and we see all these stories from each other, and, I had it all, right? And so they immediately do an x-ray on me. They didn't want to give me morphine because that would, if I was constipated, that would slow the process down and work against them. So they gave me something to take the edge off. It didn't take any edge off to me, but and I was like, Mr. Doctor, man, please help me, please, and I'm mumbling and I'm shaking and I'm, I'm laying there and I'm just like in just, I can't even describe pain. I've, had children. This wasn't that pain. It was just, my stomach was hurting so bad. Radiating all around to my back. So immediately they give me an x-ray, and he said, no, I don't see any, there's nothing that stands out in terms of your bowels, so it's not that. So then at that point gave me morphine. Then they did labs, and when they did labs, my liver levels came back just completely out of control. One of them, the normal level should be between 14 and 27, and mine was 800. 800. And so that made them say, okay, we need to do ultrasound because something's going on inside, and check her gallbladder. Full of gallstones. Full. Never had any history of thinking that I needed, that I had gallstones or anything was wrong with my gallbladder. Nothing. So at that point, they knew that I needed surgery. They knew that I needed to figure out how to get those gallstones out of my canals because they had started traveling. So, you know, your liver spills over bile to your gallbladder, and then from your gallbladder, things go down into your intestines through these canals, right? Well, mine was more than double the size that it should be. It was inflamed, it was enlarged. So that led them to believe that some gallstones had been trying to travel. So then it's like, okay, I'm at this random emergency room. I'm a Kaiser person, been for, I don't know, almost 20 years. And, you know, how do we get her to a Kaiser facility? Well, this story's long, I'm just going to tell you. I mean, if you were my friend on Facebook, you know the whole story. Because I shared it along the way. But, you know, if you're my YouTube friend, you don't know what I'm talking about. And so this is Thursday night. Remember, this is Thursday night. And so we you know, go back and forth with, well, the closest Kaiser facility is 45 minutes away, and it's in Fresno. And so typically, Kaiser patients are taken to Fresno. No. Because I'm 3 hours away from home, and no. And so I remember saying, no, please, no, because I was traveling. That's why I ended up here, and I was trying to get home, and I just couldn't go any further, and so I had to stop. But, you know, I need to get to the Sacramento area. I really want to go to Roseville, because that's closer to me, on the other side of Sacramento. And so the doctor, you know, it's like, they don't typically do this, and I don't know that they'll do this. And I said, try. And he went away, and I remember getting another shot of morphine in my IV, and I remember saying, I need to pray about this. But I was too doped up and too out of it, too sick. I remember waking up and a nurse coming over saying, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is they're going to transport you to Roseville. The bad news is I didn't win the lottery. So yay, I got a super duper 3.5 hour ambulance ride from Coalinga to Roseville, California, which is right down the street from where I live. Total blessing, because I spent from Friday morning, early morning when I arrived at Kaiser, until Thursday, 8 p.m. when I was released. When I first got there, they had to figure out my liver and get that all together and bring those levels down. TMI, my urine looked like prune juice. I was in bad shape. And so we needed to get all of that fixed before they could do the exploratory procedure to go down and figure out if there were any loose gallstones anywhere. And so we did that, I want to say, on Saturday, because we didn't do it Friday. We did it the next day. All I knew was, don't mess up my lap band. Don't mess with my lap band. I don't care if you have to cut me open to do whatever you need to do, but please don't mess with my lap band. And he explained to me that some surgeons place the lap band straight up and down. Some of them, and if that was the case, he would be able to go straight through with the scope and be able to get down in my stomach and get over wherever he needed to do without a problem. Some surgeons place at a slant. If it was placed in any type of slants, then that would pose a problem. And so he promised me that he would look with a small scope first, just to peek down there to see whether or not he had an opening. And if he did, then he would continue. If he didn't, then he would stop. And so obviously mine is straight up and down, or, you know, because he was able to go in. I did not have any floating around gallstones. He said it was all turned into sludge. And so they had, I guess, broken down at some point. Or he said that sometimes they go back into your gallbladder. But they need to clear those passages first before they remove your gallbladder. And they need to also be able to look at your gallbladder a little bit more so that they can know whether or not it was really in bad enough shape that it had to be removed completely. And it was. And so the passages were clear. He cut some little sort of slits at the bottom of that one canal, the main one. I'm not saying it right, but you know, I'm saying it so you understand what I'm talking about. So that if between the time he did that and I had my gallbladder removed, if some stones should try to pass, opposed to me being in complete excruciating pain, they would have a little, you know, passageway. And so we did that. Now, I get back to my room, and I'm asleep, right? You know, you anesthetize. And I am in so much pain. Just so much. I'm like, you know, when that nice man talked about the fact that he had been doing this for 30 years and he drew pictures of my anatomy in the inside and he explained all the details of everything to me, he didn't mention pain. And so I was in so much pain. And thinking back, I think it was a lot of the gas that he had to put in there to be able to, you know, blow my stomach up and stuff like that so that you'd be able to see. Because once I started passing the gas, then I did start feeling a lot better. Okay, so we do that and, you know, look through the thing. I think it's called, I don't know what it's called. I'll put it in the annotation. I don't know right off the top of my head. Everything's like a blur from last week. So we did that, and then I had to wait for my liver levels to continue to go down. So they were continuing to do labs, and it was going from 800 to 600 to 400 to 200. And then it still needed to continue to go down before they can actually remove my gallbladder. They removed my gallbladder on the 2nd. So I brought the new urine in my hospital room. Didn't see the world and breathe any fresh air of this year until the night of the 7th, I think I want to say. Had my gallbladder removed, the story's not over. Had my gallbladder removed, and the next day, it's like something doesn't sound right. You know, they're checking you and all of that. Pneumonia, lower right lobe. So then we had to deal with that. So dealt with the pneumonia. Just hit me with triple antibiotics. Taking Tamiflu and all of that. I was very weak. I was very uncomfortable. I think the surgery in itself, the two, you know, you have the procedure and then I had the surgery. I think both of those inflamed my MS. I think it flared it up. I was very weak, had lots of fatigue. It was hard for me to get up and walk. You know, you have to walk when you have these surgeries and things in order to help the gas. I mean, that's the best thing for it. And I just, you know, my energy level was so very low that it was hard for me to do. But I pressed through. We dealt with the pneumonia. I guess I'm still dealing with the pneumonia because I'm quite sure it didn't go away in a day or two. Still taking my medication. Was released from the hospital with 2 different types of antibiotics and you know, pain meds and stuff like that. So I'm still taking that. But that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm gallbladder-less. Ended up with pneumonia. Had a whacked out liver that needed to be fixed. It all hit me on the 5 freeway in the middle of nowhere. I can look back over this whole experience and see many, many different blessings along the way. just almost makes me want to cry right now, but I know who I belong to. And he always pulls me through. So I wanted to take some time out just to share my story with you. You know, number one, you start feeling pains out of nowhere. You know, don't ignore those things. Just, you know, and it's hard when you're dealing with, you know, with multiple different illnesses and things that can cause pain. It's very hard. I was in a very difficult situation because I'm thinking MS. It's my MS acting up. I've been in a relapse since October. And so, you know, I just thought it's my MS and that's all it is, but it was more to it. It was a very bad, had been bad for a while, gallbladder. I was talking to Wendy and Aisha on the phone one of those nights in the hospital, and one of the things we talked about was, you know, as weight loss surgery patients, it seems as though, you know, because one of the things that can make your gallbladder go bad is when you have rapid weight loss. It seems as though it should be one of those things that we are tested for at some point, you know, just to make sure that our gallbladders are okay, so that we're not in a situation where we have to experience a gallbladder attack. It isn't. They call it an attack for a reason. It is very violent, and it's very painful. So I wish there was some type of way that they could check us for that before we end up in that situation. But, you know, be your biggest advocate. Things aren't right. Make sure you get to the doctor. Have them check you out. And ask questions until it makes sense to you. Don't just, you know, somebody tells you something and it doesn't really make sense and you go, oh, okay, they're a doctor, they know best. Make sure you don't leave until the situation makes sense to you. I got some new hair. One of my goals for 2012 is to grow my hair out. I want to get to about this length. So, you know how I am. Coach Tamika, I say if you set a goal, you know, put it out there in front of you. So I want to be able to, you know, I took pictures today and stuff like that. I don't know how much I'll wear this, but I wanted to be able to see what I would look like with hair this length. So that's what this is all about. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.